2023, by the time we get close to caught up on the chip and other electronic deliveries. You know, Joe, I read something similar as well. Like I said, 79.5% this time next year. We're talking middles. Okay, so when I read the article, it was like the beginning of September, and they were forecasting it by the middle of September. So
This episode is sponsored in part by PTZ Optics. Why hire a camera operator when the control is in your hands? Visit ptzoptics.com for more information. And by NewTek, makers of the TriCaster TC1. Stun your viewers, not your accountant. Visit newtek.com for more information.
Hey guys, it's Friday, so it's time for the Retro Buzz, and we've got a pretty exciting show for you, I must say, but I was instructed I must introduce this person first, per the contract, Mr. Douglas Smith. You're back.
I don't know how I got the first introductory. Normally it's the opposite. You know, you hold me at the end, but I'll take it.
Is it Doug Day or something, or what?
I don't know about that. Yeah, just gonna say no. It's not Doug Day. Doug Day doesn't really roll off the tongue smooth enough. It sounds like an infection more than anything. Anyways, glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, and we also have this. Glenn? What's the reason that we introduced Doug first? Are you feeling okay?
Well, I am, and I want to show you. I'm such a big fan of Missile Command. I made my own way back in the day, and I got to tell you something. What's that? You guys hear that?
No, it's probably your PC or something.
What?
Oops.
He hit the wrong button.
He hit the button.
Glenn.
The button that says "Do not press." He hit the button.
Glenn. Oh, not only did he blow up
effect.
The whole
world. Glenn.
It's going down, Doug. We're in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. I'm in Missouri. Nobody cares about bombing Missouri, but you guys are definitely screwed.
Well, I'm in Ohio, so nobody wants to blow Ohio up. So I'm good. Oh, look at this. Look at this guy here.
Smooth.
How did I know he was what is this now?
What the heck happened? Oh my God, what happened?
There appears to be some sort of nuclear holocaust that was potentially orchestrated.
My earphones even came out. My goodness. I can't even hear you guys. Can you hear me? Am I still on the air?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, emergency broadcast system's all that's left thanks to you now.
What?
You know what? I don't know what happened, but I think we have some good games to talk about today.
Yes, and I'm going to get to our guests. We have some guests with us here as well. Glenn figures out where his face went. We have joining with us from New Wave Toys, we've got Shiloh Prychak. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Happy Halloween.
Do you know what happened to him? What was that all about? I think he's in shock.
I think we got bombed. Is what happened. I think Gorbachev launched the and that's it. Mm-hmm. Star Wars didn't work, and we're lucky if we're going to make it to the end of this show, you guys.
I'm starting to think so. We also have with us the author of Missile Commander, Tony Temple. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
All the way from the other side of the pond, which is now what, midnight or 1? It's what, 1 o'clock in the morning there right now, right?
Yeah, you guys asked me to come on, and who would have thought international time zones were a thing?
Somebody ought to do something about that.
Yeah,
I just kind of thought I'd do the right thing and say yes, and then I googled what time 5 o'clock PST is here in the UK.
It's okay to say
we
that.
Appreciate it.
It's okay to say that Glenn paid you to do that. It's okay, really. So, well, I guess, Glenn, why don't you get us kicked off here, and why did you congregate this panel of superheroes?
Well, of course, New Wave Toys is coming out with their new 1/6 scale Missile Command, and two versions of it, no less. The arcade release version and the prototype version. So we had to get Shadow on here to talk about his new Replicate. And here we go. We still have 6 days left to get in. And I'm telling you guys right now, people always get disappointed if they don't order it and they miss out on this. It's a good deal. I think I got it for like $149 shipped, which is not bad at all. You have a machine that's made out of wood, arcade accurate, an enlarged trackball. You know how women like playing with balls? You get 2 of these, you're all set.
I don't even know how you comment after the enlarged trackball response, but not only that, Shiloh, isn't this you guys' first kind of iteration of a CRT-esque monitor inside your Replicates?
Yes. You know, from we very first started, we used to get a lot of heat from everybody that we should, make a scaled down CRT television set, right?
Because it's so easy to do.
Yeah, very, very easy. And factories are just lining up to do it. It's, so we finally did it. No, I'm kidding. Of course, it's still an LCD screen we're using, but we've developed a lens that goes over top of it. It's a polycarbonate lens that's curved, and it really gives the effect of a CRT television without having to, for us having to do all the work and that super high cost it would be to actually make a miniaturized CRT, which, they have done in the past, but it's just not something that is very viable these days. So we're excited about that new feature. You mentioned, Glenn mentioned our big trackball. It's actually, we're excited about that too. We've been working on it for a while. We wanted to improve on our first game that we did actually was Centipede, and it featured the smaller 2.25 inch trackball. Worked very well, but however, with this newer trackball that follows the larger 4-inch Atari trackball, gives us a little more. Bombs are going off still here. Gives us a little more volume to play with, and actually we came up with a roller system, so it actually rolls just like an actual trackball would, but it's all miniaturized, and it works very well for Missile Command.
So it keeps the momentum going when you spin it. There's still momentum on the ball.
It does, exactly. There's a momentum, although you don't really need to hard spin in a game like Missile Command. It is, but you can do it. So it's highly reactive, and it's just really fun to play with on such a small scale.
Well, I'd rather play it than living it. This is not fun.
So let's shift
Agreed.
gears a little bit here, and let's talk with Tony. Tony, tell us about the Missile Commander book. What is that role that you're playing with that?
Yeah, so Missile Commander is a book that I rather stupidly spent 7 years trying to write on and off. Finally got it out last year, which I was pleased about, and it was pure blind luck that it was released on the 40th anniversary of the release of the game, obviously, which was in 1980. What I tried to do with the book was sort of 2 things, really. One, I really wanted to tell the story of the development of the game, and particularly the prototype version of the cabinet, which was obviously never released because it was the prototype. So that's what makes today quite interesting, because obviously New Wave Toys have decided to release not only the arcade cabinet that we'll all be familiar with, but also the prototype version. And the story around the prototype cabinet I thought was just really interesting, as was the whole development of the game itself. Obviously, with the Star Wars program going on, the world living on a knife edge, as people of a certain age will obviously remember in the early 80s. So I really just tried to tell the story of the development of the game in the first half of the book. And then the second half of the book is really my own sort of journey with the game, discovering it as a kid. And then in more recent times, getting the world record on the game.
And you're being a little modest too, because not only did you get the world record, you subsequently beat your own record numerous times after, didn't you?
Yes, I did, Douglas. Thanks. Yes,
for those that are not aware, what is your current record score on Missile Command?
Yeah, so it's probably worth pointing out that there are two I don't know what you would call them, tracks of Missile Command. One is called Marathon Settings, which will be the settings that most people will have played Missile Command on in arcades. So that's where you get your 6 cities and you get a bonus city every 10,000 points. The world record on that was set by a guy called Victor Sandberg from Sweden, and he played the game for over 100 hours nonstop.
Oh dear God!
Wow.
Right.
That's impressive to play any game for 100 hours nonstop.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So as well as, playing the game itself, you've obviously got the, small problem of when do you take a toilet break, or, what do you eat before? How do you stay awake for that length of time? The version that I play is arguably harder in terms of the game itself, but because it's exponentially harder, it means games are a lot shorter. So you get your 6 cities to start with, but you get no bonus cities, and that's called Tournament Settings, and that's the world record that I got, and the score I got was 4.4 million points.
Wow.
Which was a more modest 3 hours to achieve.
Oh my!
Wow.
That's a marathon in itself, right there. I mean, because if anybody's not familiar with the game Missile Command, it's pretty lightning quick reaction times. So if you're, that dialed it in, so to speak, for 3 hours, that's an impressive feat. So congratulations. Obviously, well deserved and well earned, because you are above anybody anywhere in the same pantheon of success when it comes to competitive Missile Command playing.
I'll add this too. I'll add that Tony plays Missile Command with style. You know how like some skateboarders have style, they just do.
Absolutely.
They do tricks or whatever. But Tony, man, you got to watch him play. He's just smooth, and it's impressive, man.
Tony.
Well, the old games are all about reaction, quick reflexes. That's what it's about. And, the average Missile Command game is probably 3 to 5 minutes, perhaps. So to go 3 hours on a hard level is pretty incredible.
Tony, do you have it set up where you can actually capture the screen of your game there, the Missile Command, that you could pull in to play it live here? Just like a few, I don't know if you have the ability with it or if you're playing on actual cabinets. So if that's the case, you probably can't do it.
Yeah, I have a cabinet. I mean, there is footage of my world record score on YouTube.
Okay.
It had a camera pointed at the screen. If you I don't know what you would search for, Tony Temple Missile Command or something like that on YouTube, you can see some gameplay footage. So yes, I can stream live, but not directly from the monitor. We're sort of delving into Billy Mitchell territory there, aren't we?
So I just figured I'd ask to see if I can locate it while we're chatting here, while Glenn and Doug are asking some questions here. I'm sure it's here.
There's a lot of subtleties around the gameplay. There's obviously various ways of playing it. I mean, for my own, the way I play the game is probably more about keeping myself entertained. So there's a safe and secure way of playing Missile Command, which would be, I'm sure many of your viewers will be familiar, but you would place your cursor halfway down the screen and do a line of, all across the screen to kind of try and take everything out. And that's great, and it works, and it's a solid tactic. But kind of doing that for 3 hours
gets a little boring.
Well, for me, yeah, I have a very short attention span. So my gameplay style is really more about me trying to keep myself awake and just interested in what I'm doing really. So I tend to let missiles come down really low. I mean, a great tactic on Missile Command is to try and preserve your missiles. And so what you're looking for is, if you've got 5 missiles coming down at the top of the screen, rather than going, boom, 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 taking out 5 different missiles with 5 different of your own missiles, what you're looking for is convergences. So you need to let things come down, and you can see, okay, these 2 are going to meet here. If I shoot right there, I'm going to take them both out with one shot. So it's,
but you have to be careful with that, because the missiles could still break apart on you when you're doing that. You can wait, and then they start breaking apart.
Yeah, precisely, Glenn. I mean, and that's what just kind of makes the game a bit more interesting for me, really.
So
I'm not saying that's the right way to play it. I'm just saying that's the way. That's the style I seem to have, built up.
It's fun to watch you play, man. It's like being a little kid in the arcade watching some older guy just mastering a game, and you just sit there and awe.
Steady on, steady on, sir.
Older guy.
Look, the question.
Like if you were going back in time,
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point. I think there are a number of classic arcade games that make for interesting viewing, and there's a few of them, and I think Missile Command is definitely one. I think Robotron is another. It's kind of something like Pac-Man. Personally, I don't find that terribly interesting to watch for any long period of time. But yeah, I think there are a handful of games which are interesting to watch, and from what everybody tells me, Missile Command is certainly one of them.
So the question of the hour is going to be: are you going to get one of these mini arcades and try to get the world record on the mini arcade?
Yeah, can I say anything other than yes? Of course I am.
No, put them in. Hey, we asked the tough questions here.
Of course I'm.
We asked the tough questions.
My order is in.
We would expect nothing less. Yeah.
No, Tony gets one for free because, you talk about
that. How do you not?
Yeah. Oh, that's now a permanent record on the internet, Shiloh. You just committed to a machine for him.
Right.
No, we've talked a few times, and I don't think Tony's introduction quite did him justice. He also is the, I guess, author curator of the Arcade Blogger, and it's just an incredible work that you do there, Tony. And honestly, it's helped us out a lot. It's unknown things that you've researched and brought to life. And you mentioned Robotron. You have an Arcade Blogger post about a new old stock Robotron cocktail table, which I thought was really cool to see. And also on the Arcade Blogger, going back, this is how we learned about the Warren Davis prototype. So again, geez, Tony, we owe you, man. I don't think we ever would have known about it if it wasn't for the work you did. And of course, now we got Warren involved with our Qbert project, and now we're also doing a variant of that particular cabinet. So the Arcade Blogger, if you haven't, check it out. You need to check it out. And in fact, there's one more I do want to mention, is your blog you did on trackballs, in particular, and kind of the history of trackballs. And I always knew that the smaller trackball was a cue ball, right? The smaller two and a half, 2.25 inches is actually a cue ball. But does anybody out there know what the larger 4-inch, besides you, Tony, besides you, does anybody know what the larger trackball actually served another purpose? Does anybody know? And it would have to do with, I guess, along the lines of billiards.
Is it bocce ball?
It's close.
That's the only thing I can think of that's that spherical shape.
You would know right away. It's based on a 5-pin bowling ball from Canada.
Oh, there we go.
Those Canadians again. Those sneaky Canadians.
Yeah.
Every time.
So I thought that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Tony, how did you get started with the arcade blogger? Because obviously it's not just, hey, I have a passion for arcade games. You obviously have some, insight and some, I guess, luster and appeal for the historical significance of these arcade machines, what makes them tick, the stories behind them, not just, hey, these are fun games to play. You really like to dig deep into, why they are the way they are. So how'd you get started with the arcade blogger, kind of exposing that side of the thing to the world?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. People sort of come to me as I get emails quite regularly because of the blog saying, I need your help with this. My Robotron stopped working, and I'm thinking it might be this chip here, and I haven't got a clue. I just don't know. Arcade Blogger is I hope the site that I never found. So I was researching things, to try and fix my games or trying to find out, the history of a particular game. And I was finding all of this stuff was out there, but it wasn't in one place. So I broadly can't lay claim to most of the stuff that I post on my blog. But I just thought it would be great to have a site that actually sort of pulls this stuff together and makes it accessible. So Charlotte mentioned trackballs. You could put up a page of technical documents, but it wouldn't really mean anything to anybody. It would probably, bore the pants off of most people. So what I try to do is to sort of take a look at those documents and go, well, what are the interesting points here? And I sort of noticed a small note on one of them that said, someone had written on this technical document, we need to make an order of, 500 candle pin balls from Canada or, whatever they are. And I just thought, well, there's an interesting story. So I managed to speak to someone who works at Atari, and they confirmed, yeah, they are just basically, you could literally pick up one of those and go and play. Is it called candle pin?
Well, it's called 5-pin in Canada. It's just called 5-pin.
5-pin.
But I think in the States it's called candle ball or something. I'm not sure.
They're saying duck pin bowling in the chat room.
Yeah, it's the same type of thing. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so they're just like interesting snippets like that. So, well, that's like kind of like really a really cool fact that not many people know. And so I just pick a subject, go on Google, find out some stuff, maybe speak to a few people, and hopefully write something interesting and engaging that anybody can read and enjoy. Sort of similar to the book, really. Missile Commander isn't particularly technical. It doesn't just appeal to classic arcade collectors. I'd like to think it just tells an interesting story about the development of a video game in the early 80s. So I just try to make the subject matter accessible, and to just get some of this stuff down, because none of us are getting any younger, especially the guys who wrote these games. So it's I hope good to have it all in one place that people can just go to and get an enjoyable read
and learn some history.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And what we're trying to do is take a lot of that knowledge and bring it to life in a collectible form, right? So we love these stories and the history and everything. And in particular, I mean, I always thought, why is Missile Command so short? I'm a tall guy, but it is real. I mean, obviously something was chopped off there one time, but I never put two and two together. And then you go and you see that there's this huge lit marquee that I personally like it. I think it's a lot better. I think they made a mistake by changing it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Aesthetically, it looks better to me. I mean, like you said, it looks like something is missing. Something was clearly removed from the top and said, we'll take a little off the top and nobody will notice. Well, everyone kind of noticed and says, hey, this is just a little off. Something's not right here.
Yeah. And this is, as I said before, I think this is the great thing about what Charlot and the guys at New Age Toys have done to, shine a light on this fascinating cabinet, which never made the light of day. As they were writing the game, one of the things that Dave Toyer, the guy who programmed Missile Command, one of the things he was keen on was a sense of immersion. So not just playing a game, but actually, kind of feeling like you're there, and sort of sweating a bit. And the engineer assigned to the game was a guy called Mike Jang. And he tells me he went to the local library and started researching sort of missile silos and what the US did in terms of monitoring the skies and stuff. And he was inspired by some of the pictures he saw there, and the initial cabinet design he came up with. I just handily have a copy of Missile Commander here.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, I saw somebody take. I don't know if you see that. But
you've been taking lessons from Glenn, haven't you?
Oh, this picture here. So this was his initial sketch drawing of what he thought the game could look like. And you can see the trackball, you can see the 3 fire buttons, but you can see this huge marquee above. Mm-hmm. And the intention was to provide the player with a status of their game. So it was trying to serve the purpose of informing the player what was going on their game. There's an early, that's an actual art sketch of the initial design of that large marquee. One of the things you'll notice.
Marquee, not to interrupt, does that marquee have light up sections based on the game? Was it interactive?
Precisely. So each one of those lights that you see there does light up and informs the player of various things. The interesting thing about that sketch is you'll notice it says Apocalypse, which was one of the early names for the game before they obviously ended up with the name of Missile Command. And there it is. There's the final version.
I mean,
so what this marquee,
pretty sweet looking. Yeah.
So what this marquee does as you play, it lights up lights telling you what's going on with your game. There's another picture. That's the actual cabinet there with the huge marquee. So some of the things that these lights tell you is when your base is low on missiles. So a light would come on to say, your left-hand base is low on missiles. Or when missiles are getting in the 4th quadrant of the screen, a light comes up to give you a warning to tell you that. And so you think, well, that's great. So I'm playing the game and I'm looking up.
It could be distracting.
Okay. And then I come back down and I've kind of I've lost another city.
So I'm actually surprised Atari didn't do that, because you are going to look up here, you look down, you just lost a city.
Yeah.
And now a quarter out. So.
Precisely. So when the game was out being field tested, this was the big piece of feedback. And, people were saying it's kind of like driving a car and sort of turning around and sort of leaning under the passenger seat to pick up something. And it's, it isn't a great idea, right? And from what Dave Toyer tells me, it came as something of a surprise, because they obviously put an awful lot of thought and work and effort and money into developing this marquee, which was there designed to help the player with their game and to provide them with a sense of immersion. But it turned out it was just
doing
a complete,
the opposite.
Yeah, it had the complete opposite effect. So what do? They had no choice, really. They just decided, well, if it isn't working, it's going to have to go. You mentioned
the weird thing is, just on that,
I'm not sure.
Real quick.
Sorry. Yeah, sure.
Real quick. So when Atari released like Space War, the big problem was people thought it was too complicated. And that's what kind of killed that, and it came out with Pong. So the immersion I get, like a gamer today, that'd be really cool. But I think back then it was sensory overload, and that's probably what really killed it. Because I think it's a great idea. to do that and have those alerts. Maybe have a friend over your shoulder saying, "Look, the lights lit up. Watch out, you're in the fourth quadrant." But by yourself, that game is so fast and intense. I can definitely see why that feedback came.
Right. Yeah. And I think you mentioned about them chopping it off. I don't know how well you can see that, but that was Mike Jang's revised version. So I don't know if you can see. There's the big marquee there, and that red line is what they decided to do. So the red line is the shape of Missile Command as we know and love it.
Yeah, it's the point of no return. That's where they just said, all right, everything from this point on, we're keeping everything from this point on. Got to go.
Yeah,
and Shiloh.
And when you think logically about it, sorry to keep going on, but if you think logically about what these lights were telling the player, well, one of the lights is telling you when missiles are in the fourth quadrant of the screen. Well, why do I need a light to tell me that? Because I can see that it's on the screen in front of me, for God's sake, And similarly, when you're, I don't need a light to tell me that my bases are low, because Dave Toyer could just program something that says low under the base and maybe give me an audible warning, which is the 3 beeps, which you might be familiar with. So anything up there which needed to be, communicated to the player, they just reprogrammed it into the game so it actually appears on screen. So you're no longer having to look up and get distracted. They just brought it all down onto the screen. And of course, they saved themselves a bunch of money by.
Now, in doing that, I'm going to assume the code that went to the marquee is no longer in the game. So there was no way for New Wave Toys to make that prototype unit lights work like it was originally intended. I'm assuming that code is not even in there at all.
As a non-coder, I couldn't possibly tell you. It may well be in there somewhere, but sort of, cut off from the rest of the code. There is an area on the PCB which is blank. And we think that was where the initial relays were that, sent the whatever it was to the lights to switch them on. So they just sort of chopped that bit out. And yeah, I assume they did the same thing with the code.
I know what the question's going to be is, do all the quadrants and all these things Tony just explained work on our scaled version? And the answer is no, just because we don't want to have that distraction.
Nice, of course.
We don't want the distraction. Plus, honestly, it would have been a lot of coding to get everything to work properly, and a lot more time. And we've already been working on Missile Command for quite a long time, so we decided that it's all the lights are on or all the lights are off. So that's the way it is on our.
And the reality is no one would look at it anyway, because you're just looking at the screen. So,
and
Atari,
at one time
Atari
we're like,
got it right in the end.
Should we just, put some random on and offs on the LEDs? And, that we thought that would be even worse.
Too Christmassy at that point. Yeah. Becomes
actually
festive.
Shiloh, I got to say, there were people who were messaging me when we knew we were doing this interview, and I had to take my mask off because I can't drink anything. I want to drink. But a lot of people were asking if you were going to add some blinking lights up there. So some people are definitely interested in it. Maybe we should do a poll and see what people want with that.
Well, it wouldn't be, like I said, it would just be randomly, blinking if we do it. So, but it looks good just being on. I mean, we have all those quadrants, those little icons. They're all masked off, and they look like they honestly look like something from Star Wars Control Deck or the Millennium Falcon. The lights in the background. That's what it reminds me of, and I mean, we're happy with it the way it is. Honestly, that's kind of where we're at with it right now.
Is it resemble The Force Awakens or The Empire Strikes Back? Asking for a friend.
Definitely more The Empire Strikes Back.
There you
That's the best movie in the whole series.
At least you made Glenn happy with that one.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Except for that awful band scene that they added in. I know, just because I I just finished watching the original trilogy, and then I watched The Mandalorian, like we talked before the show, and I was like, this band scene, why would they add this in? It's horrible. Empire. Anyways, I digress.
Was that Jedi though? You're talking about in Jabba's castle?
Was it Jedi? Oh, maybe.
Yeah, that was Jedi. It was the beginning.
Yeah,
Jedi,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Empire's still perfect.
Big mistake. It is.
Now, Michael B asked earlier on about, and I can't pull the comment up right now. I had it up earlier. Robotron, Shiloh, in the future, is there going to be a Robotron?
Oh, that is up there. That's
high on the list,
favorites, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I'm just reporting it. Don't shoot the messenger.
No
just
shot.
put it out
It's
there.
a great game.
I'm being serious.
Yeah.
That's a favorite, and a personal favorite of mine.
And Rexer said about the class of '81, because some folks were saying, "Well, are you ever going to put more than one game on a cabinet?" And I know you specialize in making the cabinet
Well,
like
they've already
the regular.
done that.
Yeah. So they were saying about the
Yeah,
class
do
of
that.
'81.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do multiple games where it makes sense, and we're never gonna. I don't think you'll ever see us do a 12-1 or anything like that. But yeah, where it makes sense, and something like a class of '81 that makes sense for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you've already kind of done that. You've done 1942, 43, Street Fighter, Super
Right.
Street Fighter. I mean, so this is not
Right.
completely unexplored territory for
Yeah.
New Wave Toys to have more than one game on a machine.
But in the case of Missile Command, there's nothing else you could put on.
Super missile attack.
Yeah.
Super missile attack.
Yeah, super missile attack, sure.
Yeah.
He'll get right on that.
Mhm.
That's on the list right up there with Robotron.
Mm-hmm.
No,
So
Robotron.
Tony, I gotta ask. Obviously, Missile Command personally speaks to you in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, if you're willing to dedicate this much time and effort to chasing world record and subsequently beating your own world record, but I assume you've probably played the various, because there's been tons of them, home ports of Missile Commands over the years. Is there one that potentially stands out to you as being a decent enough variation or a rendition of Missile Command the arcade?
I don't know. The problem with Missile Command is the controls are so specific. So when you try and play Missile Command on anything from the 20 from the
600.
earlier 2600, sorry,
Mhm.
lost my mind there for a minute, through to a PlayStation port, it just isn't quite the same. Even using a mouse on a PC, you get kind of the feel, but nothing replicates the original trackball and the free fire buttons of the arcade machine for me personally. Having said that, I did quite like Atari's recent release, which was Missile Command Recharged, which I think
Just came out.
Right, I think that's available on Steam and various mobile apps and stuff.
Mhm.
I thought that was a pretty good interpretation of the game.
I
That's
will
not
say,
an Atari
I got to
G.
jump in on that, Doug, that you brought that up. For my old 8-bit style, the TRS-80 color computer was called Polaris, and the joysticks were non-self-centering analog, and you had 3 buttons, Z, X, and Y, I think. And it was very good. It was a clone. You were submarines instead of cities, but it played very well. After that, I have to agree with him. Without having a trackball and 3 bases, I mean, the Atari 800 did have a trackball. Same with the 2600, had a trackball. Never used that. And you need 3 bases. You need those 3 bases. One in the center is not going to cut it. But Polaris on the TRS-80 color computer, a valiant attempt.
Nice.
Now, somebody wants to know, Tony, what other cabinets do you have in your collection there?
Yeah, because we see some gyms right behind you. I see a robot.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what have I got? I've got a Battle Zone here, which you can't see.
Nice.
I've got a European Robotron. So this differs to the US version in that it is black. It has black side art as opposed to the silver side art of the US cab, and it has a 20-inch screen as opposed to a 19.
Nice.
I've got a Donkey Kong 2, which was the kit released by This Old Game some time ago. I've got a dead Missile Command at the end there. It died
You killed
this
it.
morning. I did. Behind me is a set you probably see.
Centipede.
got a Centipede Cabaret. I've got a Red Tent, which is great, good fun. And on this side, I've got a Gravatar, a Tempest Cabaret, and an Asteroids Cabaret, which is
So you
running
got some
multi-kit.
Atari heart in you, my friend. You got some
I know.
Atari classics.
I know. I seem to have gone down the Atari route. I've got a couple of projects in the garage as well, which need coming up. But if you notice, I'm in a loft room here, so space is at a premium. I've got a slanty roof, so I can't put cabinets along that side behind me because the roof.
And it must have been a hell of a hard time getting those up there. I'm assuming that's a couple floors up.
Don't ask. Yeah, it's to get anything up here. Huh? To get anything up here, you have to dismantle it downstairs.
Oh,
I then have to talk to Mrs. Temple very kindly with flowers and chocolate.
Persuasion of any sort, yes.
So yeah, it's no mean feat to get these things up and down. So yeah, should I ever sell this house?
We don't have that problem with our product. You can put it anywhere.
No.
Yeah.
Nice. Sure.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, Shiloh.
I'll just tee
I
him
do
up,
have to ask on that screen, just because how I know the community can be at times. How does it look? I mean, honestly, when you're using it, does it look good, or does it look more like a magnifying lens?
No, it doesn't look good with every game. We took it out of Qbert because it didn't look good. This is something we've been working on for a while, but it looks really good and works very well with Missile Command.
Oh, very excited to see this then.
Yeah, it really does. It doesn't affect gameplay or anything like that. Even the viewing angles are fine. It's something that we'll look at for most games going forward. But if it doesn't look good, we're not going to use it. We'll just go back.
We still have HDMI out on the back of this cabinet, because I know that's something you've been including on the cabinets.
Not on this cabinet, because there's no controller. We were kind of talking about it earlier, right? You got to play Missile Command with a trackball. And
I make a trackball. I make a nice trackball.
Oh, I mean,
oops. Backpedal.
That's one of the reasons. The other reason is we actually, in that licensing deal, we didn't have the rights to do HDMI out.
You could have started with that. It was a licensing thing. It would have been clean and easy.
I'm sorry, I forgot about your trackball, Glenn.
That's okay. It's been stuck on a boat for like 4 months. I can't blame you.
Oh man.
Sorry.
So I mean, Atari is still a little stringent on what can and can't be done with their licenses.
Well, you gotta, that's how they differentiate, right? Is by feature set, and now going forward, this is a new thing we added, right, with the external controller support and the HDMI out,
right,
with our Dragon's Lair as stretch goals when we were doing a Kickstarter for Dragon's Lair, right? And all of a sudden, these turned into, these are really good value add features that people like. But when you have an existing deal that you don't have those rights, it could infringe on somebody else's product that is more of a plug and play or something like that. Right. So, I mean, everything's considered in a licensing deal like that for sure.
Okay. Well, I'm going to send you a version 3 optical trackball out to you and Aaron. You'll get that next week.
Now, is that a 4-inch trackball? That's a 4-inch.
What's that? Right? It is. No, it's still the same smaller size, but it's weighted, and this one is optical. It's not mechanical. So that weight you would have gotten with the Missile Command, it does spin, but doesn't spin like super freely. It's got the same type of effect. You'll try it out. Maybe who knows? Things can happen in the future. But I will send it to you to take a look at.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things I noticed, Charlie, from the pictures of the Replicade is the attention to detail with the buttons. One of the interesting specifics about Missile Command as a game when you play, they actually, when they released the prototype first time round, they actually had 4 standard leaf switch arcade buttons as we know them to be. So the kind of buttons you would find on an Asteroids. And some of the feedback from testing was, in the heat of the moment, because it's so frenetic, those buttons aren't quite connecting properly. So they replaced them with Cherry micro switches with sort of cone switches. I just wonder how closely you were able to repro the feel of those buttons.
Yeah, it's a tack switch, right? So it has that tacky feeling to it, and it's not a new button for us. It's something that we have on our other Atari games that have the Atari. What's the official name for it? Lava Dome?
Volcano buttons.
Volcano buttons. Right?
I was about to.
Lava.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because it glows. Some of them, that P1
go.
and P2s glow, right? But they don't with the 3 action buttons with Missile Command. Yeah, I actually saw those pictures, Tony, that you're talking about, where there's like the white leaf switch type buttons. And we were just like, is that the way it was? Or, but then we did more research and stuff, and we see that it's actually 3 silver Atari Volcano buttons. So we'll be making that change on the color. But yeah, they're very tactile and very responsive. The game's running really good.
Great.
Hey, Shiloh, I want to throw this out there, a comment that came in the chat room here. Just a kudos to you. Rexer Show says it's refreshing getting straightforward answers in an interview. I guess there's a lot of guys out there, a lot of companies that aren't giving straightforward answers. And at least whether they like the answer that you're giving or not, at least you're being straightforward about it and telling people, like, look, this is how it is.
Yeah.
So
kudos to you.
Thank you. Try to, just what's there to lie about? Be honest about everything, and then you never have to worry about, did I say a lie about that? So, just something we pride our company on, just being transparent and open about everything, and all the crap we have to deal with. Everybody feels our pain,
and
somewhat.
And
absolutely.
Chum Bucket wants to know about: would you consider doing a cocktail table replica or a red tent? That would be really cool.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. So one thing with Missile Command is how many versions of the actual machines that were released, and including the field test edition that we are doing. So there was a cocktail table, obviously the regular upright. There is a
cockpit, isn't there?
Thank you, cockpit. And then the last one is the cabaret.
Yep.
Right? So there's a lot of different flavors of cabinet with Missile Command. And we actually made a cocktail prototype, and we made a cockpit prototype.
Yeah, I was about to say, I want to say I remember seeing those at E3 years ago. You guys had the prototypes set up. It was pretty neat to see how it separated and everything for the cockpit version. It was cool.
Yeah, just take my money, Shiloh. Just take my credit card. Just take my money.
Well, that cockpit version is pretty rare. It's not as rare as the field test, right? I think, Tony, there was 4 of those made, if that's correct, right? And there's maybe one still in existence on the field test edition. But there is the cockpit is just really awesome because the artwork is even bigger than it is on the upright. And I think personally, Atari had the best cabinet artwork. The artist, his name is escaping me, but just incredible. And this one, I think, is the best. It just has that Cold War punk rock. Just, I don't know. It's just so good. I think the artwork is incredible. So it's interesting. We just did if you go to our social pages, we just did, I think yesterday or the day before, we threw up a survey to see if people want to see cocktail tables added to our second wave of Replicate machines.
Yes.
And so we very mixed reaction, honestly. Some people are like, no,
don't listen to them. What do they know? What do they know?
Well, I mean, it's different strokes, different folks. I mean, everybody has
No, no,
different
no, 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 no.
styles and opinions.
Cocktails are as much of the history as anything.
Oh,
And
absolutely agree.
I want it. Me.
Even though it would be more expensive, I mean, there's 2 track balls there instead of 1, right? So I mean, they would be a little more pricey, just because of that. Those things aren't cheap, as you know, Glenn. The sensors are expensive.
No, they're not. But certain things are worth it. And for me, it's about the history a little bit. We try and keep these things around. And as a kid, it was an experience that I had. I went into, I think it was Longhorns. Ever know Longhorns restaurant?
Steakhouse?
Yeah. So they had the cocktail Zaxxon, which I still want, by the way, and the Missile Command. So as a little kid, these are the memories you have. And these are limited anyway. I guarantee you'll get enough people to buy those cocktail cabinets. And as far as price goes, we've talked about this many times, Shiloh, and people hate me for saying it. I think you are undercutting yourself as it is. I'm happy you are, because I could buy each and every one. But if you charge a little bit more for a cocktail for the 2 trackballs, I know people would buy it because people talk to me about it. So
yeah, but there's I appreciate that, and I mean, there is a lot of people that are like, yeah, hell yeah, that's part of it. Like you said, Glenn, it's part of the arcade, right? I mean, they were there. The cockpit is actually, we're gonna do another survey next week on cockpits, and what
I'm already telling you, it's yes, Shiloh. There's no need. We want that cockpit. We want it.
Now, here's the thing, though, is that they're going to be quite a bit more pricey just because of the size, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing is everybody okay, like Doug is, with it breaking apart, right? I mean, is that okay with everybody?
Well, that coming apart and breaking apart, not the same thing. Things. Yeah. They come apart.
Listen.
Apart.
Detachable is the word we're looking for.
Shiloh, yes. I don't have any of these cabinets, okay? And I'll say this. Arcade
You're
One
also
Up,
wearing a Last Jedi shirt, Steven,
yeah, you know what? Be quiet.
That explains it.
Arcade One Up came out at $299. Now they're selling cabinets for $600-$700 for the same quality that they put out at the $299 mark, and people are still buying it. So I'm going to answer your question just by stating that fact.
Yeah.
And also, I'm going to add to that, Shiloh, is for a fact that your stuff does sell out. And after it's sold out, people are still coming to you. Can I get it? Can I get it?
Yeah.
You have a good following. You have a good user base. And I'm telling you.
Can I get Cubert?
People will buy that for the rarity.
Can you still get Cubert?
Oh, you will be. The pre-sale window's closed, but you'll be able to get it.
You can still get it.
I was proving his point. They were yelling at me before because I missed it. That's exactly what Glenn's saying. You see it, you forget about it, and then it's like, oh, it's too late. Now what?
Yeah. You go on eBay, his Centipede, which was a beautiful cabinet. I remember getting on Kickstarter when that first came out. I backed the Kickstarter. It's going for $5,000-$6,000 now for it. Now I couldn't pay that amount of money, but these things are going up in value. These are not going down in value. These are collectibles that go up in value. So a cocktail cabinet or a environmental cabinet that detaches and goes back together will only add to that.
Yeah, it's we're actually really pleased that they've our products have not only retained their value but have gone up in value. Like we call it arcade art, right? We're not a victim of marking stuff down half price and having tons
higher
of
sales
inventory, all this type of thing. Mm-hmm. So, another problem is that on eBay the prices are ridiculous, and
supply and demand. Yep.
Yeah, supply and demand, I guess is what it is. But people are paying those prices. It's incredible. So maybe you're right, Glenn. You know what? We're gonna double.
Don't say that,
Shiloh.
You haven't watched the show
enough, my friend. Me and you, Shiloh, don't like this. I'm telling you, I'm not going to steer you wrong. I'm telling you, people will do it. People want that beautiful, interesting cabinet you don't see everywhere else. They do. And you'll still make it playable. And we're going to go back to Atari, and we're going to get an external HDMI port and USB ports, put my trackball on it. We're going to put a real seat on it, and it's going to be beautiful.
All right, let's do it.
Really quick, Shiloh.
I don't know why we're putting a seat on it, but
I'm just losing my mind.
Before we got to roll out of here, we only got a few minutes left. Rexer wants to know. He says, "Can you ask Shiloh about track and field?" That's all
What
he wrote.
about
I don't know. Listen. You're seeing the comment. Rexer is usually descriptive, but that was all he wrote.
I hear it's a fun game.
It is a fun
I think
game.
he's
You can play
asking.
it with a comb.
Did you ever make the cabinet? I don't know if he's asking maybe for the cabinet or
I think he's asking future scope.
future
So
scope. There we go.
I think one thing with track and field is that it needs a very specific type of button, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
It isn't
Yep.
just a standard leaf spring
No.
button. There's something special about it. And I haven't done enough research to honestly comment on it. But yeah, Konami games, that's definitely one of their greatest, right? I mean, we all remember running and stuff. Very fun game. I believe that some people have tried to remake it, but there's a problem with licensing the artwork or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that would be a deal breaker for us. I mean, look at Frogger. That's another game. And it seems to be something with Konami, where they don't have the rights, or they're very
The original
much
licensing
sticklers.
rights for the artwork.
To the artwork, or whoever the original artist was, where that's not a case with an issue with, like, Atari or Capcom, or any of the other licensing partners we have. That seems to be an issue with Konami. So to that fact, we would have to research it. We wouldn't do it if we couldn't do the original artwork. So there you go.
All right. Well,
Real quick, Stephen, I had a super chat over here from Akuma Rev, and he wanted to know if I stole P-Dub's hat for his Halloween costume. He's a little far away. He's in Arizona, but he was out here recently. He was in Maryland, so maybe I did. Maybe he left it at the airport.
That's possible. Shiloh, any last words here before we got to wrap this up so we can we have to end on time because of the radio. So
And someone's got to go to bed. Someone's up. Way
yeah,
past
yeah.
bedtime.
Tony's like ready to crash.
Yeah, so there, like we said, we're talking about price. We give the absolute best deal we can during a pre-sale. It's kind of in our DNA because we started as a Kickstarter company, and now everybody's used to us doing pre-sales and getting in, making sure they're first to get it. They're getting, gift with purchase, which we're doing this for Missile Command. We're doing a 1/6 scale. Mini poster that we're going to be sending out to everybody is whoever pre-orders. So if you want that, you want to get in early, it's the best time to do it. Price is locked and you're going to get it first. So please check us out at newwavetoys.com. Sign up for our newsletter. And we got a bunch of stuff coming up. Like next week, we'll talk more about the cockpits. And we're working on our wave 2 of cabinets that we're really excited about, and all that information is going to be coming up here in the next little while. I also want to thank Tony for coming on today and also doing what he does. It's super important, and it's a great help to us to be able to have somebody like him that has done this research, makes our lives a little bit easier. And the Arcade Blogger, if you haven't checked it out, make sure you check it out. It's excellent. Like Tony says, it's not just a bunch of boring technical stuff. He makes it interesting and just exciting, because we all love these machines. And so anyways, thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Charlie. Can I give you a job? You be my PR and social man. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. It's an honour. Very happy to talk about Missile Command. If anybody wants to order a copy of the book to go along with your New Wave Toys cabinet, you can pick up one of these on my website, arcadeblogger.com.
And also, you can check out Tony's on a podcast, the TDE podcast, where they talk about all kinds of old retro games that old guys like Glenn really, really, really love. See, Tony's not old, so he'd probably be easy to listen to. But when you hear Glenn, it's like,
I'm
going to be honest. You know,
I'm just kidding.
I'm just happy to know you guys, because I'm meeting people who I've been a fan of for a long time. Like Tony here was saying he was honored to be on our show. I'm honored he came on our show. These type of things. It is my generation. It's all the stuff. Tony, very nice guy, came on. You know, he's on the other side of the world, across the pond. We forgot to say crikey, so I'll say it. Crikey!
Oh,
he came on the show.
Sorry about that. I forgot.
You know, it's late. It's late. But you know, I'm meeting a lot of personal heroes. You know, being with Doug and Steven on the show, and you know, Shiloh, and you know, and now Tony. I can add to people I've met. I'm just really glad you guys both came on. I'm personally thankful for Tony and Shiloh as well.
Listen,
thank you guys for coming on.
We're not at Thanksgiving yet. You don't have to go through and thank everybody. And you know,
I do this. Come on, you know I do this. I always do this.
No,
because we want to thank you guys for having us too. I mean, in this thankful vein of Thanksgiving.
Listen, I'm just going to tell you guys now. You need to change your address because now Glenn's going to stalk you now. You heard it right from the horse's mouth.
I want to say one more thing too, though. Tomorrow, Aaron from New Wave Toys is getting married. I want to wish him a very
congratulations,
happy
Congrats.
and getting married, and kiss his toys and his things he loves goodbye, because that's what happens when you get married.
That's not true.
It's not true.
Well, I guess that's not true in all cases. You're right, but you know, I do want to wish him a very happy wedding. He couldn't be here tonight. Shiloh blew off his wedding to come with us, so I really appreciate that. Thanks, Shiloh. Appreciate it.
That's how you know you hit the big time.
More important to me than Aaron.
Yeah. He doesn't mean it.
I don't mean it. I continuously, I mean, I bet Aaron just cannot wait for tomorrow night. It's his wedding night. Oh man.
Well,
I bug him all the time.
We really appreciate you guys coming on. Guys, make sure you check out Mr. Planamento. Head on over to G Planamento over on YouTube. He's got a hang on before you do your spiel. Also, Mr. because Doug's quick, so I'm just going to get him out of the way. YouTube.com/COOLTOY. You guys can check it out. The latest videos coming out. Doug, you have a reveal that's coming up tomorrow of a certain product from At Games.
Yeah, there's a new video tomorrow. Watch it if you want to, or don't.
All right, Glenn, the floor is yours, and then we're going to wrap. You're on the clock.
Again, I've already thanked everyone on the show, but I want to say next week, November 6th and 7th, if you happen to be in Hartford, they have the Retro World Expo 2021. I will be there, and if you are, come up and say hi. I'm pretty friendly. I don't think I have COVID, but I think you could talk to me. Yeah.
Hartford,
Retro World, Hartford, Connecticut.
The whale.
The whale.
Everybody.
Hartford Whalers. Sorry.
Everybody run. Glenn's going to be there. Everybody run.
I am, and I'm going to stalk everyone. I know Metal Jesus Rocks is going to be there. Gaming Historian is going to be there. I know Metal Jesus Rocks is going to run because I've been talking to him for a while. He's going to take off.
So I'm expecting
a lot of big people there.
I'm expecting you to come back with a list of people that are going to come on the show. That's what I'm expecting. I'm going to hold you to it.
I expect you to watch them running for me as I'm chasing with my camera.
Well, I'm sure that's going to happen too. But, you know, guys, we really appreciate you tuning in. We're going to see you next week. And Glenn will be going off on Saturday and Sunday. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you download the podcast. You can go to your favorite podcast catcher, whether it's iTunes, Google Play. You can watch on Roku. Listen over on the radio broadcast radio. You guys can check that out. Guys, until next time, we will see you next week. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. Thank you, Shiloh. Thank you, Tony. And we'll see you. Keep it buzzing.